Did you know that simply by having more gratitude, you can add years to your life without any change to diet, exercise, or anything else that you're doing? Let me tell you about that. And I'm going to talk about how to experience more gratitude right now and why do you even want to? Who cares about gratitude, right? So there's a famous study called the Nuns Study by many that was done where they went to this convent where nuns had been living for decades and decades and decades, and they went through and the nuns all kept journals, and they went through all of the nuns' journals that had lived there and passed away, right? And they found that the nuns, so these are people who are all, they're all women, they're all, eating the same foods, doing the same thing, living in the same environment, sleeping the same amount of hours, everything. So everything is pretty much the same, except that for nuns who expressed more gratitude in their journals, they lived on average 9 years longer, right? Isn't that amazing? 9 years of gratitude. So there's lots of research out there on gratitude and why gratitude is really good for you. It can help lift your mood. It can make you better, better with people. It's good for your health. It's like meditation. We don't know all of the effects or how exactly they work, but there's lots of research to show that getting into gratitude is really good for you. And from a spiritual perspective, being grateful tunes our vibration and brings us more of what we want. Because when we're not grateful, we're focused on what we don't want. We want to attune to and carry the frequency of what we want more of, and thus more gratitude is better. So I want to give you a quick tip for how to get into gratitude and how to experience more gratitude in your life. And I'll explain how you could turn this into a little game and how it'll make you feel better almost instantly, lift you up if you're feeling down, help you if you're feeling anxious. So again, this is not a cure-all for anything. This is not going to make all your problems go away, but it will help you have more mental resilience. It'll help you have more joy, more happiness, less stress. All of these things are good for you. And I think you'll probably agree that living with more joy is just better. It's just more fun to live that way. So when I talk to clients about getting into gratitude, very often they'll think about, okay, what are the big things? I'm going to list the things I'm grateful for. My kids, and I'm grateful for that I have my health, and those are wonderful things, and they're wonderful things to express gratitude for. But we kind of run out of the big things, right? We kind of like, oh, well, I was grateful. I'm still grateful for my kids, but it's not having quite the same impact. Or we are also going through some potentially negative life circumstances and where we don't want to focus so much on that. So how do we get out of that? How do we get out of a negative spiral? Or just, go from a place of neutrality into a place of being higher energy, higher vibration, higher level emotion. So instead of the word gratitude, for a moment, gratitude's a fine word, let's use the word appreciation. What do you have? What around you right now? Let's make a little game. Right now, look around wherever you are and name 5 things that you appreciate. Now, these don't have to be things that you own or whatever. I'll give you an example. A great example is, here's a pen. Here's a ballpoint pen. I appreciate, I have gratitude for, I appreciate that the ballpoint pen exists, that I have one, that somewhere there's a company that makes these things so that I can write, right? I don't need to do the old fountain pen thing where I'm dipping it in an inkwell and potentially, if I had to do the inkwell thing, it would be spilled every single day all over my desk. Right? I can use a ballpoint pen. Somebody manufactured this. Somebody sold this. I'm grateful. I'm appreciative that I have this in my life, right? I'm using appreciation and changing it with gratitude just because it may be a little bit easier, right? So make this into a little game. What in your immediate environment do you have appreciation for? I appreciate that I'm in a house right now and I'm protected from the elements. It's a little cold outside right now. I appreciate that I have light. It's starting to get dark outside as I do this. I appreciate that I have artificial light. I appreciate that people invented LED lighting and sold it, and that there's electricity in my house, right? So I can go on and on. I can make this whole chain of appreciation. Even as I do this as a little bit of a demo, I can feel my mood lifting up. I can feel my energy lifting up from where it was. So you should give it a try. Challenge yourself. You can also, so there's a couple ways you can do this. One is to have little mini appreciation sessions, maybe before you meditate, right? Go into gratitude before you meditate. Look around at what is around you and what can you appreciate your environment. You can make a little game and maybe even write it down and say, how many things can I think of right now? And challenge yourself to think of more the next time you do it, right? I thought of 12 things right in my immediate environment. Okay. Use the linking technique as well that I was sort of demonstrating with the pen. I'm grateful for, I appreciate, or I'm grateful for this pen that I have so I can write with it. I appreciate that I can write with it so that I can express myself, right? I can link that way. And then I can go back and say, I appreciate that there are stores that sell these pens so I can access them. I appreciate having money so that I can buy these pens. I appreciate that somebody invented the pen, somebody manufactured the pen. I appreciate the people who work in the factory who make them. I appreciate the people who are involved in shipping the pen. There's a lot of steps involved for me getting this pen. So that's another way you can go, is that you can link all the things that have to be in place for you to appreciate the thing you're appreciating. So you can think about the objects in your immediate environment. You can think about the people who are in your life or who were in your life. Even people maybe you're not in relationship with anymore, that maybe things didn't go well or they wound up being not so nice to you. There are probably things that you can appreciate from before. Oh, I have this ex and I really appreciate that she was a good cook, and or I have this other ex and I really appreciate that she had this amazing memory where you could just tell her your phone number and she would never forget it. And she remembered every birthday, and wow, I can really appreciate that. That came in handy a lot when we were dating. I appreciate, I appreciate other people in my life. I appreciate kindness. So, sometimes we're in a rough state. Sometimes we're feeling depression or anxiety, or we're going through grief, as examples. We can still bring appreciation in, not to bypass these experiences, right? We're not trying to cover over our grief or push our grief down or push our depression down. What we're just trying to do is move through it in an easier, less painful way. There's still going to be pain. The grieving process in particular is a pretty important one psychologically to go through that stages. We don't want to bypass that. But what we do want to do is to not have our emotions completely take us over, and to the point that we can't get ourselves out of the depth of them. So as an example, I have a former high school teacher of mine, who very, very popular individual, great teacher, uh, changed lots of people's lives, was a very positive influence on lots of people's lives. And a few years back, his wife passed away. And I went to her wake and funeral, and as did I saw many of my former classmates there, students whose lives he had affected. And so I went up and I talked to him. And he was in rough shape. He was grieving for his wife, who he very much loved. And was just a lovely, his wife was just a lovely person as well. And he came over and he just shook my hand. And he was so appreciative. Thank you so much for coming. It means so much to me that you would come all the way here, and it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't an incredible distance for me to come, but I would have for this man. But in that moment, he was being appreciative, right? That makes me feel good, feels good to be appreciated. But he's also in a state of gratitude while he's grieving, right? He has things to appreciate, things to be grateful for. And so even when things are rough, we can find appreciation in the people who help us or the things or resources that are available to us. So that's an important lesson as well, because life is rough and stuff happens, and we go through grieving process. When we lose loved ones, and we can still find moments of appreciation there that will help lift us up. And in part, that's why we have things like wakes and funerals, so that people can show their respects and those who are grieving can be uplifted. All right. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Practice this. Practice. Do your little, I call them little appreciation storms. Take 10 minutes. Find as many things as you can. But also, you can do this throughout the day. Just when you remember it, what can I be appreciative of right now in this moment? All right. Let me know how that goes for you, and I will talk to you very soon.